on the other one, you bastard!
When people take a break between their childhood collection and their adult collection, there are often figures that you'll eventually have to pick up at a later date because, well, they fell through the cracks. Whether being broken, whether being lost, or whether just being given away, sometimes you're gonna want the figures that you had as a kid, and you'll never know if they were truly good or not, until they return to your hands. One of those, in my case, was Revenge of the Fallen Tankor, a weird mishmash of re-releases and homages. He's a redeco of the 2007 Brawl mold, and a homage to the Beast Machines character. Yes, back from the days that Hasbro was able to reference Beast Machines, and something that wasn't G1. Kinda miss those days, but the engineering these days is also pretty good. Now, of course, this isn't my original copy. My original copy is kinda kaput. So in the time between having the old one and this one, I looked at several photos online and thought, it looks a bit shit. But as a completionist, I felt I kinda needed to get this one anyway. So, does it really live up to the hype, or is it as shit as I thought it was? Well, let's take a look. When they made the shift from Legends of Cybertron to movie Legends, or I guess Legions like we know them today, they had to shift over to unique engineering because they couldn't just scale down the larger toys given their complexity. Doubly so in Revenge of the Fallen, but this is a redeco of an 07 movie toy, so it doesn't quite count. So, as was the case with many movie toys, the vehicle mode was prioritized over the robot mode. And as a result, my word, what an absolutely lovely vehicle mode. First off, the sculpting is completely amazing. It manages to capture the on-screen tank mode perfectly, with the multi-layered turrets. My word, how amazing. You even get a teeny tiny bit of turret rotation. I mean, the turret doesn't rotate because it has to split into the arms, but still, that little bit of articulation does up the play value quite a bit. Paintwork's also astonishing. All the treads are painted, which probably would have been skipped nowadays. You got some lovely yellow detail at the back there, and even a bit of silver at the front. Would have loved a Decepticon symbol there, but I'll take what I can get. It's even got the tiny little spikes at the front, which is a very nice detail. Even the back's clean. This is a very, very clean alt mode. I mean, obviously not from the bottom, you can see the robot chest and head there, but you know, it's a Legends figure, what are you gonna do? I know this isn't the traditional Tankor tank mode that we saw in Beast Machines, but as a throwback, as a homage, these colors really, really work. And I'm not sure if it is realistic, but it does look realistic. I'm not super obsessed with realism, but it's a nice thing you can have sometimes. And my word, especially in the sculpting department, the Movieverse went all out on realism. I can't really think of anything negative to say about this particular mode. I mean, you kinda got the feet sticking out of there, but again, it's a Legends figure, what are you gonna do? Maybe that part in there is a bit hollow for my taste between the two arms, but considering the way it transforms, and again, it's a Legends figure, what are you gonna do? As far as vehicle modes are concerned, it's definitely one of the better Legion figures that I've come across. Now, size-wise, Tankor is 8 centimeters long if you just include the chassis, and 9 centimeters long if you include the turret. Also, 3.5 centimeters long in both width and height. And of course, for size comparisons, here he is next to a standard Legion figure, although you can see that the sizes have shrunk over the years. Yeah, plastic costs are a thing, they did have to shrink them a bit. Although, to be fair, this guy is a much more complex little figure. A standard Legends figure, a standard Earthrise Micromaster, and Crumbs. To describe the transformation, it's basically the reverse of G2 Megatron. The turret transforms kinda similarly by separating it and moving these bits to the side, but then you take the cannon and fold it into the arm like so, and then you take the turret and fold it over, the opposite of what you would do with G2 Megatron. The feet fold out like so, the arms just fold down, separate the legs, and you're done. And a lot of 2007 Legion Legends figures were compromised in their robot mode because they didn't quite know how to make the engineering work, but Tankor here, and by extension Brawl, my word, he turned out marvelously. He captures the on-screen design pretty perfectly, shows a lot of detail, and has minimal sacrifices. The proportions on him are great. They are quintessentially Brawl. Maybe a bit exaggerated, but still remarkable. I actually prefer the way this looks to the way the Studio Series version looks. It kind of looks more natural, or is that just me? It might just be me. You get a lot of extra paint that wasn't present in the vehicle mode, like there's a lot of silver on the legs, all of this stuff on the chest becomes visible, and now I've got a Decepticon symbol, which is rather nice. Even the head sculpt has both silver and red paint to give it the visored look. Doesn't completely work, you can kind of see the two eyes still, but it's still remarkable that they managed to paint it that much. Since a lot of small scale figures will just put a little bit of paint on the face and not bother painting the eyes. The back remains clean as well, aside from a bit of hollowness there, but again, it's a Legends figure, what are you gonna do? The only thing you can really knock with this figure are the arms, and a lot of Legion figures have issues with their arms, so it's nothing new. Well, I say it's nothing new, but this figure came out in 2009 and 2007 in the original version, but you get the point. Yeah, these arms are pretty hollow. Yes, they don't have a lot of detail to them, and yes, that cannon stick in there is a bit unsightly, but compare that to some of the other figures that came out at the time, especially ones like Optimus Prime and Jazz. Ugh, yeah, nah, this is a much better alternative. Given the time he came out in, he holds up remarkably well. There's a lot to love here, a lot of detail, a lot of paint, a lot of sculpting, just all around, everything you could ask for. I wasn't expecting to like this figure as much as I did, because I loved him as a kid, but I thought it was just nostalgia talking. But, well, looking at him now, no, he was truly that good. Although, full disclosure, this was not my childhood copy. This is. Yeah, looks like playing with him as a kid, lost him an arm and a leg. Or just a leg, I guess. This is why you should be careful with your toys, otherwise this shit happens. One thing that really blows me away is the articulation. This feels way more modern than it should. You've got head rotation, which on a Legion figure is very rare. Hinged arms that move upwards as well as ball joints, so technically that's a universal joint there. I guess if you kind of want, you can use the rotation there to have him look up, but that's kind of cheating. Much like all Legends figures, he has a ball joint at the hip. And then this was purely added for articulation. It's not used in the transformation. He has a thigh swivel. That is really, really cool. Personally, would have much rather had a knee, but on a figure this small at the time it came out, so that's remarkable. And I suppose you can also use the foot rotation to get some articulation out of that. That's 11 points of articulation, 12 if you count that extra hinge there. That's a lot on a figure of this size. So although difficult, you can get a lot of poses out of him. Anyway, size-wise, he's roughly 7.5 centimeters tall, and he's a really wide fellow, being about 6 centimeters wide. And for a size comparison, here he is next to a standard Legion figure, and yeah, they have gotten smaller. A standard Legends figure, and I guess we'll have to move that up a bit just so we can see it a bit better. Moving the camera back down again, a standard Earthrise Micromaster, and crumbs, and I need to get the camera set up working better for the next few episodes, but I'm on a schedule, and I need to keep to it. Scheduling aside, this figure really surprised me. I really love it when I go back to figures from my childhood, look at them with an analytical mindset, and find that they do in fact hold up. Because some of them, yeah, I love them as a kid, but they are a bit shit. But when you find out that they truly are that shit, well, it's a pretty good feeling. Especially considering the time this came out, the engineering is remarkable, and the articulation doubly so. Plus the colors, man, the colors are just lush. Yeah, the arms kind of suck, but the alternative is far worse. This is one of the figures that I am so glad to have back in my collection, and even more glad to be surprised with the sheer quality it presents. This could have so easily been a shit show, but I'm incredibly glad it wasn't. But there are some figures that you know aren't going to be shit. Some figures that you had as a kid, and you know they are just as good today. And I'm excited to finally discuss one of my favorite Legends figures from when I was a kid, and to show that yes, he does hold up today.